Sein thought he was repaying a debt. For 10 years, he believed staying behind was the noble thing to do. But the tragedy of Sein's story is that his brother never asked him to sacrifice his future in the first place. And by the time he realizes that, he already believes that it's too late. That's until he meets Frieren. She sees him for who he is and is the catalyst he needs to move forward. Sein and his brother are priests in a small village, but their reasons for being there are starkly different. Sein's brother is an extremely talented priest, and as such, he received a job offer that would take him to the holy city. But he chose to stay in the village. "Mr. Heiter," he said, "my life here is just fine." These are the words Sein's brother says first, before he gets into the whole spiel about Sein being young, needing stability, and doesn't want to uproot him from his home. I'm not saying that he was lying, but the core of his decision to stay in the village was based on him simply wanting to stay. He was contented with his village life. Sein had always wanted to become an adventurer. Standing in front of a statue, he and his best friend vowed to leave their mark. His friend would be Gorilla Warrior, and he would be Goatee Priest, names that the world would never forget. Sein was ready, down to the goatee, and yet he never took the first step. He made the choice to stay in the village, and he admits that the reason he made that choice was because he didn't want to leave his brother. He had overheard the details of his brother rejecting the offer to move to the holy city. Sein decided that if his brother sacrificed for him, then he should do the same. At first, I struggled to understand why Sein's mindset was unhealthy. I come from a culture where sacrificing for family is normal, even expected. So leaving to pursue your own dreams can sometimes feel selfish. But Sein's problem wasn't that he made sacrifices at all, but why he made those sacrifices. Sein interpreted his brother's choice as a sacrifice, specifically as a sacrifice of ambition. He echoes that by giving up on his own dreams to stay and serve both his village and his brother. And what was wrong with that mindset? His brother didn't give up his dream or sacrifice ambition. Being a village priest and Sein's guardian were his ambition and calling. He enjoyed it so much that the idea of moving away to do something that was quote-unquote better or more grand didn't appeal to him. Sein didn't know or understand that. He simply thought, my brother gave up a golden opportunity, and so I must give up mine. Sein sees his brother's act of sacrifice as a debt to be repaid, rather than a sacrifice to be accepted. So in his mind, leaving would be a slap in his brother's face. What was wrong about that mindset? What he assumed was that his brother had to be miserable living in the village. His mind could not fathom that anyone could be satisfied with a quiet village life. So he chose to live an unfulfilled life, to share in his brother's pain. We see Sein literally going through the motions as he does his daily tasks, only to partake of his daily vices in the evenings. When Sein's brother learns the true reason Sein hasn't left the village, he is angry, maybe even heartbroken. He has literally watched his baby brother wither away for a decade, thinking that he was just afraid to take a leap of faith, but knowing that it was because Sein had misjudged him and his choices was a hard blow. He was contented while Sein was full of regret. His life was full of passion while Sein's was filled with misery. He had made his choice out of love, and Sein was making a choice out of guilt. That's why his reaction was so explosive, despite his gentle nature. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on Sein and his brother. Whose idea of sacrifice do you resonate with more? Let me know in the comments below. There are two kinds of heroes. The first are those who don't want their names engraved in stone or their faces carved into marble. They only seek the peace and joy in the faces of their loved ones and find meaning in the mundane before fading into obscurity. They stay back home, ensuring everyone is nurtured and cared for. They make sure that those that went away have a home to come back to. That is the kind of hero Sein's brother is. And then there are the kinds of heroes that want the fame, the statues, to go down in history as the greats. They want to go into the big bad world and conquer it, helping those they can along the way. That's the kind of hero Himmel was, and the kind of hero Sein and Gorilla Warrior aspire to be. By the time we meet Sein, guerrilla warrior, was already in action, living his days as an adventurer, while Sein was moaning and groaning over the life he never had and hating the life he has. Neither one of these types of heroes is better than the other. Sein's tragedy wasn't that he chose a quiet life, but that he chose it without any conviction. And in doing so, he wasn't a hero at all, not to the village, not to his brother, not to his friend, or to himself. Sein was not achieving his childhood dream or finding joy or contentment in the quiet village life. In a sense, he feels like his life is fading before his eyes. He is achieving nothing and doing nothing, and in all that time, he became numb and stagnant, while his existential panic grew. When Sein helped Stark when they first met, his brother asked Frieren to try and convince him to join their party. It seems like a no-brainer, especially considering his healing abilities, but Frieren was hesitant at first, saying that she had an aversion to her own kind. At first I thought she said that because he was a prodigy. Then upon rewatching I realized it was because he reminded her of herself, because ironically, she understands Sein better than anyone else. Before he joined Himmel's party, he lived in isolation from the world for centuries. She too had the whole "it's too late for me" mindset, and after literal centuries of hesitating, staying frozen in place and putting off the decision to take action, she didn't want to try anymore. It took Himmel's encouragement and literal stretching out of his hand to get her out of the figurative pond of dismay. Frieren wants to be that stretched out hand for Sein, which is ironic because Frieren literally first met Sein trapped in quicksand, and he was begging her to save him. So I guess in a way, she saved him both literally and figuratively. And her efforts are such a testament to her own growth as a character. Sein spent a decade convinced he was honoring his brother, but what he was actually doing was hiding. His brother didn't need his sacrifice, he needed Sein to be free. And I think that's one of the reasons why the story has such an impact. Frieren had learned just how much wasted time costs. She didn't want Sein to walk the path she had walked. As Himmel had stretched out his hand for her, she stretched out hers for Sein. If Sein's story resonated with you, please give this video a like, as it really helps the channel reach more people who love these kinds of essays. Frieren is a story filled with people standing at crossroads between fear and connection, regret and action. I look forward to exploring more of their journeys with you. Subscribe so you don't miss out on those episodes. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!